So before the game, I woke up. Tried to take a nap. Had a bad, nasty nightmare. I dreamed the Panthers. We lost both games in Toronto. We were giving up breakaways all over the place. Bob looked like ass. Kachuk looked like ass. We just looked terrible. And then at the end of the dream, I saw this video. I was looking at YouTube, and there was this video that was by Steve Dangle, and it said, "Can't be stopped," as if to say the Leafs can't be stopped. And then I woke up.
The Florida Panthers have won the Stanley Cup.
Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go! Go!
Puck drop. And 3, 2, 1,
Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go Panthers! Let's go! Go!
All right, Panther fans, here we go. Can we do a little bit better than that? Oh, that was pretty good. Game 3, Leafs and Panthers. May as well be Game 7 because it's not Game 1. And Game 1 doesn't mean anything on that until after Game 2. And we sure as hell blew Game 2. So now we've got Game 7 basically, right? Because I don't even think... let's just put it this way. I don't think there's any force in this world that would be so evil as to have Florida fall behind 3-0 and then the Leafs get reversed swept. That would be evil. That would be a whole nother set of evil. So Florida needs to win this game, get the series to 2-1, and then see where we go from there. Now, what are we going to see on the ice tonight? Well, there were some game time decisions. I believe everybody's in. It sounds weird, but I was kind of hoping maybe Kachuk would sit because he's been a liability. But as soon as I say that, we'll be ringing the bell and he'll score 2 goals and look like himself. My assumption would be the other possibilities that were going to be out was Erod and Kulikov. But Erod probably just has his feeling hurt from the embellishment. Bubba. So I just heard Kyle talking in there. So there's no Samoskevich, no Sturm, and no Boquist. So that shows you what I know about the injured players. That's what he's saying right now. So I don't even know. I'm not going to pretend to know what that's going to mean for the lineup. So, Toronto, here you go. Here you go, Toronto. There it is right there for you on a silver platter. You've got the Panthers, who have been the best team in hockey most of the last couple of years, or at least in the playoffs, save the Vegas series. And, you know, we're in that realm. We're in that world of when you're the champs, but how long can you continue to play at that level? That's about where we are. And you Leafs are right there at the apex of, you've got the core, you've got the youth, you've got the guys, you've got the goaltending either way, in my opinion. And the only question for Leaf fans right now, in my opinion, is can they finish, which is probably the biggest problem that the Leafs have had over the years. So I'm not going to sit here and say the series is over if we lose, being a little bit hyperbolic. But the point is that whatever gas the Panthers have left, whatever chance they have of winning the Cup again or winning this series or whatever the case may be, my assumption, my expectation for tonight for Florida is just to play a good, sound, solid hockey game like we did in Game 7 against the Oilers and let the chips fall where they may. Nobody can win the Cup every year. That said, if we end up coming out of this 2 games of Florida, tied at 2, you never know what kind of momentum that will leapfrog us to do. We were behind last year against the Rangers. I know the Leafs are not the Rangers. Bubba, we need him to steal one. All right? We need him to steal one. All right. Let's do this. It's 2-1, Toronto, after 1. We're going to start at the end. It's 2-1. We just drew a penalty. We just drew a power play. They get, I forget who it was, but they clocked Carter Verhaeghe. I think it was Domi. Came in, hit Carter Verhaeghe up high to get him 2 minutes. So on the power play. Puck comes in, we lose possession of the puck, and Toronto's got the puck on their stick in the defensive zone. And everybody is just standing there doing what we've been doing most of the entire game, which is just waiting to see what they're going to do with the puck. Not approaching, not being aggressive, not trying to force them to do something. Just let me know what pass you're going to make, and we'll try to react to it. Jones, Verhaeghe's there, but Jones is just standing there watching what's happening. Just watching. And here comes, I don't know if it was Nyes. I've lost track of the breakaways. I don't know who it was. One of the fast guys that we can't catch, apparently. And Jones just is watching, and here comes the Leaf player just between him and Verhaeghe. And they didn't even think about starting to move until the pass was practically behind them. Verhaeghe has to take a holding penalty. It evens it out. Nothing happens. It's still 2-1 at the end of the period. But that is why we're losing these games. If we were giving full effort and hitting and skating and all of that, and Toronto's still beating us, hey. But that's not what's happening. We are playing embarrassingly lazy. And I know we picked it up a little bit here, right? The Barkov, made a play. Puck goes off the defenseman's stick. The fact that it's only 2-1 after this period is laughable. It's laughable because that was a 3 or maybe even a 4-0 period. There goes Fluffy's leash again. Every once in a while, Fluffy's leash will fall down. So let's put that back up. Every so often, it gets off balance a little bit and falls down. All right, let's leave that there. So, it was an embarrassing start. Last 10 minutes was fine-ish, but it was an absolute embarrassing start. Just not anything remotely close to being ready to play. And it doesn't look like we fixed anything. We got a little bit more aggressive on the forecheck, but in terms of whatever's going on the ice in terms of coaching, Berube is handing Paul Maurice his lunch. Because this is now 3 games in a row that they're just getting behind our defense. And it's not, obviously they have the speed. Toronto has the speed. But they're not getting past our defense because we're racing and they're beating us. They're getting past our defense because we're watching somewhere else. We're just losing guys all over the ice. It's absolute embarrassment. So, move on to second period. If Toronto can't pull this game off, that's all I can say. This game is right there. This game in this series is right there on a silver platter for the Leafs right now. Because Panthers, they looked a little bit, but they're not showing me they want this. See how this goes. Oh boy, it's 4-3 Florida after 2. We'll start here. Isn't it amazing how the tide turned and things started looking better once we started keeping 2 defensemen back at all times, right? Because there's been a few times when it looks like Toronto's had one of their rushes again, and the camera pans, and there's 2 defensemen back. Not one, not a center that's trying to catch up to the play. 2 defensemen back. Dump the puck in, go win the board battle, see if you can pick up some goals. If the puck comes out too fast and Toronto tries to get you in transition, have 2 defensemen back. It's not that difficult. It's the Panther system. It's very, very simple, but it's predicated on the forwards being willing to do all that greasy work. And finally, fourth line gets a goal. It's 4-3. That's not the only thing that happened, obviously. But we've had the shot go off a Riley stick from Barkov. I don't even know who was credited for the goal where it was the whole scrum in front and it went over the line. I think Reinhardt might have been the last one to touch it. I don't know. But suddenly now we're not giving up the breakaways. We're not being overly aggressive. It took us 2 games, a period, and 5 minutes to finally figure out maybe we should just go with what got us here. Maybe we should just play Panther hockey. Now, we've left ourselves no room for error. There's no room for error. There's no room for oopsies. We'll get that game back. So this third period, this is Game 7 against the Oilers last year. This is a test of just where this team genuinely is, because we have not outplayed Toronto in this game. We've had some breaks. We've had some luck. We've kind of settled things down and we look good, but there's no room for error. If you blow this lead and you go down 3-0, it's crickets. That said, it was 3-1 Toronto, and they had in the palm of their hand right there, they could have just squeezed it, right? One more goal might just squeeze us completely out. So, good hockey game, beautiful hockey game. I don't know who's going to win this game. I don't know who's winning this series, but Toronto's a good hockey team. Not even going to lie. They've got the speed. They've got the depth. This is not the same Leafs, regardless of what happens in this series. That said, is it still the champs? This period is going to tell us a lot. We'll see how it goes.
We are going to overtime!
Well, oh boy, this is too stressful. We left ourselves no room for error here. So the season is in overtime. Even though it's not game 7, let's be honest here, right? So we basically held the lead with the exception of Bob saves it and knocks the puck out, and it goes right off Seth Jones, who's standing there and in the net. And that's the goal that ties the game. And we just couldn't get one. We couldn't get the insurance goal. We had a dozen chances to get the insurance goal. We just couldn't. So all I can say is that this whole thing started with Verhaeghe in overtime. That's all I'm going to say. Panthers, what do you got left in you? Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That hurts. That's 1. All that for 1. But boy, was that a big one. That was a big one. That's what she said. Holy crap. Wow. Brad Marchand's the best player on the Florida Panthers right now. Prove me wrong. Holy crap. Whew. That overtime was intense. And finally, Bubba finally earned himself some head scratches in this series. Right, Bubba? Good job, buddy. Good job. He made a few saves in overtime. That's the only reason we ain't down 3-0 right now. Woo! And right now, still champs. Now, I don't want to celebrate too much, but it's not about celebrating the one win. It's about celebrating not being down 3-0, right? Let's just be honest right there, okay? We were down 3-1 in this game, and the series is now 2-1, and maybe we got some juju out of that. So, what did we see on that ice? Well, we're not going to talk about the first period. We're not going to talk about the first period at all. We're not even going to mention that it ever happened. Barkov, Reinhart, Verhaeghe. Barkov and Verhaeghe definitely looking a little bit more like themselves tonight. Reinhart was a little bit more active, fighting for pucks. Not like 57-goal Reinhart level, but we'll take it. Now, Tkachuk, I don't know. Maybe he listens to the show and he heard me call him a liability because he played really well out there tonight. He's still a defensive liability. And whatever injury he has, he certainly, I don't know how he's skating, but he was way better tonight than he's been at any point in this series. So I'm happy about that. Bennett is Bennett. Rodriguez is due. I won't criticize him. Let's just say he's due, right? I know all the gripes to not have Samoskevich on the ice. We won the game. The third line is our first line. Right now, Lundell, Luostarinen, and Marchand are just eating out there. It's unbelievable. Brad, you have to re-sign Brad Marchand, Bill. Please. The man needs to stay. Can you imagine a full year of that? Oh, my God. And then I don't want to ever see the other fourth line again. I don't want to see it. Nosek with Greer and Gadjevich, and that's it. There's no discussion to be had. Okay? It's not even close. It's just not even close. Nosek gets the goal. Greer and Gadjevich were active all night long. Beautiful. Beautiful. I know there's going to be a lot of people in the chat tomorrow at noon that are really happy that Gadjevich got on the ice. What a show. Then you got Forsling and Ekblad. The perfect thing about Ekblad is since he's come back, he's been invisible. I haven't even seen him on the ice. Perfect. Okay? Jones, unfortunately, wasn't really his fault that the puck goes off of him and, gets the tie game there. So Jones he didn't fall down as much. We'll put it that way. Kulikov looked better. Schmidt looked better. Mikula didn't do anything stupid. The only one teasing doing something stupid was Tkachuk. He got the one roughing penalty, but after the whistle, he's really getting into things, and I just wish he would just shut up. Just stop, Chucky. You're not going to intimidate the Leafs into doing stupid things right now. The only thing you're going to do is every once in a while get the referee pissed off, and he's going to give you 2 minutes. So just the whistle blows, let's go back to the bench. You need to rest your nuts anyway. Holy crap. And then, of course, Bubba kept us. Bubba. So, where are we in this series? Well, let's look at this from two separate perspectives. You're the Florida Panthers. You've been to 2 straight Stanley Cup finals, right? You're down 2-0 in this series. And really, the fan base, for the most part, is kind of sitting back and like, we're the champs. It's cool, man. I ain't got no anger. We're cool, right? The fan base, for the most part, has been, you know what? We're damn lucky to even be in the conversation for 3 finals in a row. Team hadn't looked all that great until about halfway through this second period, where all of a sudden, Paul Maurice realized, I wonder if we keep 2 defensemen back, that'll stop the breakaways. And suddenly it did. Now, they did get 1 more here in overtime, but Bubba made the save. And that's because if you have a breakaway once every 2 or 3 periods, that's normal, not 2 or 3 per period. So, if you're Florida right now, I don't know how much gas they have left in the tank, but we have a chance to tie the series at 2 on Sunday. And the flip side to that is you're the Toronto Maple Leafs. You have a history of, I wouldn't say blowing series, but I would say blowing series. It's 2-0, you're up 2-0, and you're beating the champs at home 3-1. Toronto had a 3-1 lead in this game, and the one was basically an own goal. Right? So at that point, you got to be feeling like, I'm sure Toronto fans were feeling like, this is over. This is toast. Get the brooms. This is going our way. And then it wasn't. We got 2-3 goals in just the space of a few minutes. And then the only reason it went to overtime is because we got our own goal. But after that 3rd goal, we basically shut them down. Now, how much is that is us being desperate to win versus we maybe kind of figured out a little bit of how to play against Toronto? I don't know. It's a little bit of both there, right? I mean, we beat the crap out of Edmonton for 3 games, and then they figured something out. And they beat the crap out of us, and we couldn't stop them. But then in Game 7, we figured out, put two defensemen back, and lo and behold, 2-1, and we won the cup. So we'll have to see if this holds. If Maurice just says, let's play a little bit more conservative on defense, which is what we've been asking for. The educated fans in this fan base have been saying, just stop the defensive pinching, and we should be okay, which is what we finally did tonight. Finally. So, overall, I don't think anybody had to go to the locker room and come back. Trying to see if I can remember somebody. Yeah, Nosek dove into the net and he was going to go to the locker room, and then he said, F it, I'm not giving my job back to Sturm, and he stayed. And that 4th line, I don't even want to hear it. Unless somebody gets hurt, I don't want to see any changes to this lineup. This is the lineup. As much as I'd like to have Samoskevich on the ice, okay, if you're going to keep Boquist off the ice and Samoskevich, fine. Let them rest in case, they need fresh legs if somebody gets dinged. I don't want to see any changes. This is it. It'd be nice if Rodriguez could contribute something, an assist here or there, but okay, so we're good. So now Sunday comes, and this is where you've got the Panthers' experience versus the Leafs' demons. That's what we've got on Sunday. Now, Florida got down 2-0 to Vegas. They scratched and clawed their way to getting it to 2-1, And then we just didn't have the gas in game 4. Vegas got us there, and then they finished us off in game 5. So we have the experience of that happening. Flip side is Toronto. Obviously, I'm not going to go down the list. They've had their troubles closing out series, right? So game 4 is basically the experience of what's left in Florida's gas tank. How much hockey are we going to get out of just that experience? You follow what I'm saying? What kind of results are we going to get out of that? And the flip side to that is with Toronto, it's like, are they going to start feeling it? I don't really think that they would feel it, because I think most Toronto fans and the team, if you would have told them at the beginning of the series it'd be 2-2, I think they would have jumped for joy and taken it, right? So I don't really feel like it should be all that much pressure. The question is going to be, you want to make sure if you're Florida, don't, as fans, we can jump and yell and scream. And I was happy. It was fun to see Marchand jumping up and down, right? I mean, you want to talk about a trade deadline acquisition that is paying off dividends. This series is already over without Brad Marchand on the ice right now. Let's just not even have that discussion, okay? Without Marchand running that third line, this series is already over. What's going to happen the rest of the way, you don't know. Series, they add the ebbs and flows, right? Okay, Panthers almost got reverse swept, but the difference between getting reverse swept and not is champs. It's a fine line in the playoffs. So I don't necessarily feel like, I don't think Toronto would start hearing those footsteps or those ghosts unless Panthers get up 3-2. I think at that point, some of those demons might come into play. But I think Toronto, this is a different team. It's a good team. They really are. If you started it off from game 1 of a regular season and everybody was fresh and everybody was rested and everybody's healthy, well, I want to say Toronto's better. They might have more skill. They might have, if you went down all the way through the lineup, you might be able to say they've got some better personnel, but experience does matter. Experience does matter. I think that's kind of what helped here, get Florida, get this victory here. And so that's where we are. We are at 2-1. And considering where we were after those first 2 goals in the first period, I was lifting and I was like, well, let's start writing the eulogy, because you could just see what was happening. It was an embarrassing start to this game. Absolutely embarrassing start to this game, but a glorious finish. And we are alive and well because of Brad Marchand. I mean, you can't write that script, okay? You cannot write that script. If somebody would have told us at the beginning of the year we would be scratching and clawing to stay in a series with Toronto and we'd need a game-winning goal in overtime from Brad Marchand, yeah, okay. Yeah, smoke another one, Jaws. Right, okay, sure. So, all right. Tomorrow is Saturday. We'll still be live at noon tomorrow for your viewing pleasure. We're going to do one game tomorrow night. I guess it's Caps Canes. I don't know. We'll figure out how that's going to go. I have Donna here on the weekends and everything, so I like to try to spend some time with her before she has to go back home on Sunday to go to work. So we'll leave that. We'll see. But we're definitely going to do the one game tomorrow. And then Sunday, obviously, Panthers again. And then we'll see with the schedule if we're going to maybe do a second game after the Panther game, if I can figure out a way to be able to do a second game while still getting the recap up. So we'll work with that. All right. Thank you all for hanging out with us on the streams. Love all the super chats. Genuinely appreciate it all. All right. We're still alive. We're still champs. Still alive. Sunday. Let's get this sucker even.